Okay, so I just wanted to document what I've got going on in this patch. Um, I've got some complex modulation between VCOs. I'm actually using four different VCOs, two analog WMD Legions, um, one noise engineering Manus Territas, and a low frequency oscillator, the WMD SSF Modbox. So VCO1, the Legion, is being synced by VCO2 through the triangle waveform, and Legion 2 is set 2 octaves higher than Legion 1, but the sine wave from the first Legion is running into the through zero linear FM of the second Legion, and the I have the um, linear FM set to just over 50% on the input. Um, so just to recap, triangle wave syncing from Legion 2 syncing Legion 1. Legion 1's triangle wave is coming out and syncing the mod box, which is um, it's got four internal LFO circuits, um, and each one of the outputs is set from one. The first one is 0, the second one is 120 degrees, and the third one is at 240 degrees. So I believe that's like 90 degrees difference between each one, something like that. And so basically, with the sync, anytime the pitch changes on the volt per octave input, the rate of the waveform obviously changes. So what that does with the LFO is every time the pitch goes up on the first Legion, it um, it changes the rate of the LFO. And since the two analog oscillators are also being FM'd, it's kind of a complex waveform because every time the sine wave gets modulated with the second one, it affects the waveform, which is also going back to resync the first Legion. So that gives you a very complex LFO once you take all those things into consideration. So there's two actual waveforms that are being output in this patch. The FM'd sine wave, which is going into the Javelin ADSR, and I have two of the outputs of the Modbox going in directly into the CV inputs for the attack and release on the ADSR. So it's just giving it a little bit of movement. And that's my bass. That's my bass tone, and that's set in the very middle of the soundstage mixer, and from there it goes out into my main mixer, and everything is kind of being mixed together here. I just have the basic levels set. I'm just passing it through this mixer. So the third LFO on the mod box is going. I'm bringing it over here, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But basically, what's happening is I sent the third LFO to the Lapsus Os for attenuation and offset, and from there I've daisy chained the channels so that you can kind of see the modulation here. One of the outputs is going to modulate the low pass filter on the Manus Territas, which by the way is I think it uses a all sawtooth wave core, and there's different circuits on here. One stacks saw waves for like a super saw effect, and all this is kind of like tuned to taste. Another one will detune the waveforms that are stacked, and there's just different things going on. But the important thing is the LFO is modulating both the envelope, which in this case, the Manus of Territos has an attack and decay envelope, which is actually almost fully all the way open. So the LFO is kind of like giving it a, that wub wub sound. And so the filter and the envelope are being modulated. A third copy is being sent to modulate the FM input of the supercritical neutron flux stereo filter, which the Manus of Territos is passing through before it finally goes to the bottommost left and right stereo inputs of the soundstage. And I've got the depth on the filters set just over 50% on that, so it's getting some filtering before, extra filtering. The only other, well, let me back up. Okay, so so basically this filter, I've introduced quite a bit of drive with the drive circuit. It's setting on the mean character type on this filter. This filter is actually, it's an analog filter too, but it has digital control over the character type and variable poles, which you can set per character type. I'm not modulating through the character types or anything crazy like that. But this is kind of what the waveform looks like in its current state. And I'll actually demonstrate what it sounds like.